Your company launches a search for an open position. The applications start ringing, and the qualified candidates are identified. Now, the choosing begins. Person A, Ivy League, 4.0, flawless resume, great recommendations. All the right stuff. Person B, stage school, fair amount of job hopping, and are just like cashier, and seeing waitress. But remember, both are qualified. So I ask you, who are you going to pick? My colleagues and I created very official terms to describe two distinct categories of candidates. We call A the silver spoon, the one who clearly had the benefits and was destined for success. And we call B the scrapper, the one who had to fight against tremendous odds to get to the same point. Did you have the human resources director refer to people as silver spoons and scrappers? A resume tells a story, and over the years, I've learned something about people whose experiences look like a bad work wheel that make me stop and fully consider them before tossing their resumes away. A series of five jobs may indicate inconsistency, lack of focus, unpredictability, or may signal a committed struggle against obstacles. At the very least, the scribe deserves an interview. Goodbye. To be clear, I don't have anything against the silver spoon. Getting into and graduating from an elite university takes a lot of hard work and sacrifice. But if your whole life has been engineered towards success, how will you handle the tough times? Goodbye. One person I had felt that because she attended an elite university, there were certain assignments that were beneath him, like temporarily doing manual labor to better understand an operation. Okay. One person I hired felt that because she attended an elite university, there were certain assignments that were beneath him, like temporarily doing manual labor to better understand an operation. Goodbye. Eventually, he quit. But on the flip side, what happens when your whole life is destined for failure and you actually succeed? Eventually, he quit. But on the flip side, what happens when your whole life is destined for failure and you actually succeed? Goodbye. I want to urge you to interview the scriber. I know a lot about this because I am a scriber. Before I was born, my father was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he couldn't hold a job. In spite of his brilliance, our lives were one part cuckoo's nest, one part awakenings, and one part a beautiful mind. Okay, I want to urge you to interview the scriber. I know a lot about this because I am a scriber. Before I was born, my father was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he couldn't hold his job. In spite of his brilliance, our lives were one part cuckoo's nest, one part awakenings, and one part a beautiful mind. Goodbye. And the fourth of five children raised by a single mother in a rough neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. We never owned a home, a car, a washing machine, and for most of my childhood, we didn't ever have a telephone. Okay? I'm the fourth of five children raised by a single mother in a rough neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. We never owned a home, a car, a washing machine, and for most of my childhood, we didn't ever have a telephone. Goodbye. So I was highly motivated to understand the relationship between business success and scribers. because my life could easily have turned out very differently. As I met successful business people and with profile job high power leaders, I noticed some commonalities. Okay. So I was highly motivated to understand the relationship between business success and travelers, because my life could easily have turned out very differently as I met successful business people and with profile job high power leaders. I noticed some commonality. Many of them had experienced early hardships, anywhere from poverty, abandonment, death of a parent while young, to learning disabilities, alcoholism, and violence. The conventional thinking has been that trauma leads to distress, and there's been a lot of focus on the resulting dysfunction. Okay. Many of them had experienced early hardships, anywhere from poverty, abandonment, death of a parent while young, to learning disabilities, alcoholism, and violence. The conventional thinking has been the trauma leads to distress, and there's been a lot of focus on the resulting dysfunction. But during studies of dysfunction, they revealed an unexpected insight that even the worst circumstance can result in growth and transformation. A remarkable encounter into this phenomenon has been discovered, which scientists call post-traumatic growth. But during studies of dysfunction, they revealed an unexpected insight that even the worst circumstance can result in growth and transformation. A remarkable encounter into this phenomenon has been discovered, which scientists call post-traumatic growth. In one study designed to measure the effects of adversity on children at risk, among a subset of 698 children who experienced the most severe and extreme conditions, fully one-third grew up to lead healthy, successful, and productive lives. In spite of everything and tremendous odds, they succeeded, one-third. Take this resume. This guy parents came up for adoption. He never finished his schooling. He job hops quite a bit, goes on a sojourn to India for a year. And to top it up, he has dyslexia. Who you hire this guy? His name is Steve Jobs. In a study of the world's most highly successful entrepreneurs, it turns out a disproportionate number have dyslexia. In the US, 35% of the entrepreneurs studied had dyslexia. What's remarkable among those entrepreneurs who experience post-traumatic growth, they now view their learning disability as a desirable difficulty, which provided them an advantage because they become better listeners and paid greater attention to detail. They don't think they are who they are in spite of adversity. They know they are who they are because of adversity. They embrace their trauma and hardships as key elements of who they become, and know that without those experiences, they might not have developed the muscle and grit required to become successful. One of my colleagues had his life completely upended as a result of the Chinese Cultural Revolution in 1966. At age 13, his parents were relocated to the countryside. The schools were closed, and he was left alone in Beijing to fend for himself. Until 16, when he got a job in a clothing factory, but instead of accepting his fate, he made a resolution that he would continue his formal education. 11 years later, when the political landscape changed, he heard about a highly selective university admissions test. He had 3 months to learn the entire curriculum, a middle and high school. So, every day, he came home from the factory, took a nap, studied until 4 a.m., then packed to work, and repeated this cycle every day for 3 months. He succeeded. His commitment to his education was unwavering, and he never lost hope. Today, he holds a master's degree, and his daughters each have degrees from Cornell and Harvard. Scribers are propelled by the belief that the only person you have full control over is yourself. When things don't turn out well, scribers ask, what can I do differently to create a better result? Scribers have a sense of purpose that prevents them from giving up on themselves, kind of like if you survived poverty, a crazy father, and several mortgage you figure, business challenges. And finally, there are relationships. People who overcome adversity don't do it alone. Somewhere along the way, they find people who bring out the best in them and who are invested in their success. Having someone you can count on no matter what is essential to overcoming adversity. I was lucky. In my first job after college, I didn't have a car, so I carboned across the bridges with a woman who was the president's assistant. She watched me work and encouraged me to focus on my future and not dwell on my past. Along the way, I met many people who provided me brutally honest feedback, advice, and mentorship. These people don't mind that I once worked as a singing waitress to help pay for college. I'll leave you with one final valuable insight. Companies that are committed to diversity and inclusive practices tend to support scribers and outperform their peers. According to Diversity Inc., a study of their top 15 companies for diversity outperformed the S&P 500 by 25%. So, back to my original question. Who are you going to bet on, Silver Spoon or Scrabble? I say, choose the underestimated contender, whose secret weapons are patience and purpose. Hire the Scrabble. This technique called top-down approach in phonetics is one of my favorite ways of practicing pronunciation. It helps me to focus on pronouncing words intensively and also it clearly. Helps me to utter a sentence like a pro. Good luck to both you all who have put your effort to complete 30 days training course to see after your progress. It's worth to practice and I hope you like this method as much as I do. Thank you.